Hello everyone, this is David, and today I'm going to be bringing you a look at the new AeroFly 2 simulator. This sim has been out for a couple days now, and I've been flying it pretty much non-stop because I'm absolutely impressed with this sim. And no, they didn't pay me to say that. The sim has a huge amount of potential. Graphics and performance-wise, it is miles ahead of Prepared 3D and FSX. Systems-wise, it is a little bit lacking, but they do plan on adding more, I believe. And there is actually quite a bit of systems functionality in the sim for default aircraft, and that's something people I've seen complain about. AvSim complaining about, even on the discussion board on Steam for this game, is there's no systems modeling. Well, let me get this put out here at the beginning of this review. I don't understand why people are expecting systems modeling from default aircraft. FSX's default aircraft had absolutely no systems functionality. You could control the outside lights and tune a radio. That's about all you could do with the default FSX airplanes. And they did not look very pretty. These airplanes look absolutely beautiful. The texture work is at least the Coronado level, if not better. The exterior textures looks absolutely beautiful. The bump mapping looks beautiful. The reflections, etc. It's absolutely beautiful. Even the little leather over here is modeled in 3D. It looks and reflects light and scatters light in different ways, and looks beautiful. Great. You can go through here once I unpause the sim, and you can turn off this. You can press it and get different information about the airplanes, system information. There are click spots all over the cockpit that aren't currently active, like these, but I do think they plan on adding functionality to those. Because otherwise, why would they have a click spot that doesn't do anything? You have the ability to control your cockpit lighting individually, both the flood and the instrument lighting on all the airplanes. The ground textures look absolutely beautiful with the photoreal, and the terrain mesh is also really beautiful as well.
400.
Let me go ahead and talk about some of the flaws the sim does have. Currently there are no autogen buildings, as you can see. I have said something to the developer about maybe incorporating OSM data, and they replied and said that they had looked into it, but there's a lot of holes in the coverage for the US. And that is understandable, that they want everything to look, realistic and perfect. So I can understand that. They have said that they are planning on doing it. It's just they're waiting on the coverage to get a little bit better. The default sceneries, though, look absolutely spectacular. As you can see, it's pretty much a payroll quality airport. Kind of changing the time around there. That's why they did that. Really, it's pretty close to payware. The default runway textures look payware, super high def, and it's absolutely beautiful. And this is carried through to every airport in the sim. So, for example, we will go over to go up to Lake Tahoe real quick. But just while I'm out in this view, we'll show you the coverage area from all the way up here, out to here, and down to the Mexican border. It's all covered, and it's all covered in really nice detail, and each airport is actually very detailed. We'll also switch airplanes. We'll switch over to the Corsair. This is a very pretty airplane. And as you can see, it's not quite done to an Orbix level of detail, but it is done extremely nice for a default airport. And what's even better is that they do plan on releasing an SDK, which will allow us to not only add aircraft to the sim, but also add and modify airports. So we can add new airports and modify the default ones to make them look even better. But, you know, every airport that I've flown to in the sim has a huge amount of detail and has a lot of the unique attributes that make it, you know, that airport. And that's really nice to see. It's better than the generic look that we get with FSX airports. The animations are absolutely beautiful in the sim as well. The sounds are really great, and the flight dynamics are really great. You can spin every airplane in the game, and I don't mean that, you know, like you can just haul over on an Airbus and put it into a spin like an aerobatic airplane. I mean that, you know, if you do the right things, or the wrong things, I guess, the airplane will go into a spin, just like any airplane will spin if you do the wrong things. And it's nice to see that they have that in here. That's definitely not in the default flight model from any of the airplanes in FSX, and really, honestly, it's not in most of the payware airplanes from FSX. So it's very impressive they went into detail that much in the flight models. But like, as you can see here, the bump mapping looks beautiful, and the detail and how the lighting hits each, you know, bolt on the inside of the engine there. Just absolutely beautiful work. All the airports feature sloping runways, high definition textures, and one thing a lot of people have brought up is there's no animated water. The developers have said that they are looking into that, and they do plan to add animated water. Just right now, the priority is getting the sim, you know, to a good point, but they do plan on adding it. It's just something that's not super priority right now. One other thing people have complained about is that when you get away from the airports, the textures become blurry. Like you can see over there, they kind of become blurred compared to the super nice textures here. The reason they did this, they explained, is that for the initial release, they wanted the game to be no larger than 30 gigabytes. But they do plan on releasing a HD pack, I guess is what you call it, so that you get these super high-res photo textures like this throughout the entire coverage region. If you have a large hard drive, I would expect, you know, for that much photo coverage, you would need probably at least a terabyte hard drive for the game itself. But that's an accommodation I'll be more than willing to make. Hard drives are cheap these days, so that's really not a big deal. Alright, let's go ahead and switch over to another airplane and go to another airport here. Let's go down to Las Vegas. Do the approach. And we'll fly the A320 in here. And we'll bring it over to night, or at least to somewhat dark. And you can see the cockpit lighting looks absolutely beautiful, and you can dim and brighten the displays in this airplane, you know, go these different modes, go out distances, change, go to waypoint mode, airport mode, all that. The autopilot is functional and works, and you can also control the brightness of your lighting. You can't even do that in FSX, so it's pretty impressive that they have added that feature here. You can also do that lighting as well. They do need to work on a couple things for their, this is morning, I guess, more than anything. They do, or night, or afternoon. They do need to work on a couple things, you know, adding night textures for the air, surrounding area out there for the photoreal, and they also need to work on the night textures on the airplane. The landing lights are kind of like up in the wings, and the landing lights nor any of the strobes show on the runway. So there's a couple things, but the developer has said they're working on that. They're going to be adding tire smoke. There's already wing flex in the game for those of you who really are in love with wing flex.
200. 100.
So they've done an absolutely spectacular job graphically with the sim. And the night lighting actually looks very good. It just kind of needs a buffing. So we go in light full night, and that light is from the full moon up there. So it's casting a nice glow and shadows throughout the cockpit there from the moon as well. Dim the panel lights down there. Just looks really, really nice. So we'll kind of fast forward over to morning, and we will move over to another airport. Again, we'll go out to the Grand Canyon, just have a quick look around, and we'll fly a different airplane this time. We'll just take the 737, and there are different liveries for each of these aircraft. So and as you can see, we're on approach here, and the ground textures look absolutely beautiful. And the amount of detail they've went into all the airports looks nice. And obviously in this airplane you can change your lighting and all that. And there's also some of this stuff does work, and which makes me think that they are going to be adding more systems modeling to the sim, because all that stuff does seem to work. I don't think it actually does anything, but it does seem to work. I'm not going to land, I'll just kind of fly around here. But like right down here, you can see I guess the Native American tribe in the region built that skywalkway, so you can walk out. All that's modeled in 3D, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And I mean, the reflections and all that just look absolutely stunning. The aircraft looks absolutely stunning. And if you're thinking that the Airbus looked a lot like the Aerosoft Airbus, and the cockpit from this looks a lot like the Milviz 737, it's because it is. They've ported the airplanes over, or at least the VC for this airplane, and they have ported over the Airbus. So it does look really nice. And you can see, like right here, as the light comes over and it shines just a little bit more on the engine cowl, how it reacts differently on the bare metal surface than it does on the paint. And you can see how the light's hitting each individual fan blade that's modeled in 3D, and it just looks absolutely spectacular. That's the best thing they've done this sim is made an absolutely beautiful lighting engine. And once again, the Autopilot's functional. It does work, and they have said that they're going to be adding more functionality to the autopilot system in the next update. They're going to be adding LNAV, VNAV, flight level change, and a bunch of other stuff. You can easily change your visibility, so you can press V and you can make it foggy as you want to. You can go solid IFR, press Shift V, and you can change that. Also, time is dynamic, so just with the press of a button you can change the time. And they're kind of those blurry textures I was talking about, but they said that they are releasing a full HD pack. So it will look very nice when they've done that. I am thoroughly impressed with this sim. I think it has a huge amount of potential. I think this could be the next big thing. I know that it does not cover the whole world, but honestly, for the most part, I fly usually inside an Orbix region because it's the only, regions that I can stomach graphically. I'm really into, good graphics, because I think, like I said, that good graphics are what make a sim realistic. It's not the systems modeling. It's not the circuit breakers working. To me, it's the look and the feel of the airplanes and all that. Because when you're actually flying an airplane, the systems are great and everything. You program them to do their job, but what you really want is the airplane to feel like if the sim feels like the real thing and looks like the real thing, then 90% of the work is done. The systems can kind of come in. I'm not a big systems person. I get to play with systems on airplanes every day, so sometimes just the raw joy of flying is nice as well. But like I said, I'm thoroughly impressed with this sim. I definitely recommend you go purchase it. Remember, folks, that this is early access, that a lot of things are going to be changing, a lot of things are going to be getting better. And try not to, hold the sim to the level that FSX is with every little feature, because it took Microsoft, almost 30 years of development to get Flight Simulator to FSX's level, and it took the community another 10 years to get it to its current somewhat stable ability. And even then, the graphics are very poor in FSX. The performance is marginal even on high performance modern systems. You have texture pop in, you have autogen pop in, all this other stuff that is not present in this sim. And I think that's what really makes this sim special and really look good